So today we've got a bit of a special episode, a mix-up of things, a shake-up of sorts. It's my first non-healthcare, non-clinician guest on the show, Mr. Amith Gosai. Thanks so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
What do you do? What are you doing in Joburg?
Nah, just came for a bit of a family holiday. Came to see my siblings, my niece.
Okay. Now, you even asked me, you said to me, Yash, I'm not a doctor, right? Because I said to you, come on my show, please.
I mean, the name of the podcast is Why I Became a Doctor.
Yeah, well, why did I become a doctor? South Africa,
yeah.
TM. But I said to you, firstly, the beauty of running your own show is that you call the shots.
Correct.
And so it's my party.
Yeah.
But low-key, as the kids say, I believe this podcast is not simply about healthcare clinicians. I actually think deep down it's about careers. And even though you're not a doctor, you can properly operate. And you've got a really interesting story. You were waiting for that.
I was waiting for that line.
Yeah.
I was wondering where you were going to slip it in.
I had to somewhere. Now you can operate and you've got an interesting story. And I think people will find your career story, your life story quite interesting. I know I certainly do. And I actually have questions because we've been friends for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And I don't actually know.
Okay.
So you're an engineer, right?
Correct.
Now, I know a few engineers, but you drive like a new car every other second week or third week.
It's actually every week.
Every week, literally.
Every 7 days, yeah.
So what's the secret? Why? I know engineers are balling, but...
Yeah, no, I'm not selling drugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you do know I've got a blog.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, it's gained some popularity.
Okay.
And like you said, this is your podcast, you call the shots. When I did start my blog back in the early, say 2010, round about there, I had I used to blog about practically everything until you find a niche, what your readers like, and one of them was motoring.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, one of the major motoring brands in South Africa got in touch and saw value in my blog, and then offered me a performance driving day. So I went and did performance driving with them, and from there they saw the traction it gained.
Yeah.
And then
Pun not intended.
Yeah, exactly. Then they invited me for a launch for one of their new models.
Right.
And then again, the amount of traction it got on all my social streams was for them quite, critical. And then they asked me if I would like to test drive one of their cars while I'm back at home. So it was a foreign thing to me, getting a brand new car delivered for 7 days. I've got to drive it around as per normal.
So they just give you a car and they say, drive it. And
and then it's up to me. They don't call the shots.
Yeah.
They give me the car. I just drive it, and then the onus is on me to do a review.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's not a review whereby I must be biased to the brand because they give me the car.
Yeah.
They want an honest review. They appreciate the honesty.
Okay.
So, and then from there, it just sort of built on. Other brands got in touch with me, and that's why every second or every week I get new cars coming in.
So hold on. Let's go a bit back.
Yeah.
Were you an engineer at the time that this happened, or were you working?
Yeah. So what happened was at my first job, when I first started back in 2004, it's going over 20 years. I'll be
sure. Yeah.
So it was very busy. It was before 2010 World Cup. A lot of development happening in South Africa.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to invest. So we were very, very busy. If I wanted to say the phrase was balls to the wall, but
yeah.
And then we went through a recession. It was a major dip around about 2011.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of when I started taking more interest in the blog because there was not much work to do. And I was exploring different ideas.
Where does this idea of so what type of engineer are you, firstly? What do you do? What's your day job?
My day job, I'm an electrical engineer by trade.
So what is that?
So what it entails is I do light current engineering.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're building this magnificent dental studio here, if I can call it that, I'll be in charge of everything power related. So, from your mains connection, coming into the place where you got your distribution board. A lot of people call it DB board, but it's just DB.
Distribution board.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
To the design of your light.
It's like chai tea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
lights. And then the thing is, I design everything that's got to do with power. So even if you want to put an air conditioner here, like the one that's not working very well,
Yeah, exactly.
I need to supply power to that. That's my job. But that's in a nutshell. Obviously, it gets more intense depending on the type of projects.
Now, how do you get into this? Why didn't you become a doctor? Because people watching us probably it wouldn't come as a surprise if they can see us.
Yeah,
we probably know a lot of doctors. We probably have doctor family, friends.
I mean, it's surprising the amount of relatives that are doctors, the friends that are doctors. I mean, I even design hospitals.
Sure, okay. So let's get into that. Yeah.
At the moment, we are the design review consultants for the biggest hospital in Africa that's being built.
Oh wow!
In Rwanda.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do you get into this engineer? Why don't you become a doctor? I mean, you're Indian, come on.
So I'm Gujarati.
Right.
If not many people know that we're from like the north, east or northwest of India.
Yeah.
We mainly in the financial sector. My family had businesses in town. Most of my relatives went the accounting route. And as much as I was good at accounting, I didn't like accounting.
Okay.
What I did want to become was a car designer.
Oh.
I love cars from a young age. But it wasn't like the performance, I liked the styling of cars.
Okay.
So when I was in matric, I was like, head straight. I want to become a car designer. But unfortunately in South Africa, there wasn't any courses for it.
Okay.
And I spoke to a lot of relatives, a lot of other people in the industry, car industry, and they're like, you know what? You can only go overseas to do this type of design courses unless, you look at like drafting courses.
Okay.
Maybe that can lead you in somewhere. And that's what I did. I did a drafting course.
All right. You did all this research while you were in high school? Or?
Yeah, in high school.
And you figured, okay, this drafting course might be a stepping stone to...
It was the closest thing that I could get to getting me into some sort of design.
Right.
And then when I started doing it, I found like I quite enjoyed the engineering design aspect of it, which my first job landed in an electrical engineer's office. And from there, once you earn your first paycheck, you don't look back.
Yeah.
But at the same time...
It's easy to just stay stagnant, right?
Exactly. And to an extent, it was a bit to my detriment, but I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that first job. And then, it led me to bigger things.
And how did it, just take me through that?
So I was there from 2004 till about 2010.
Yeah.
At the time, it was a very, very small business. It still is a small business. But
and what are you doing there?
I was just predominantly doing the drawing work.
Okay.
But like nothing else, nothing engineering related. So I wanted to obviously further my knowledge. I used to do that on my own.
What were you drawing?
I was drawing electrical plans.
Okay.
For major developments at the time. Like my first project was a factory for Coca-Cola in Swaziland.
Right.
So that's just like the scale of the projects I was working on.
Sure. And that, obviously to draw the electrical plans, now this is my understanding, you'll need to have the plan of the building or whatever.
Correct.
So you will have insight into like the new up and coming projects and everything and how it's going to look, an in-depth.
So basically how the engineering world works.
Yeah.
You come, if you got money, you want to develop something, you come to a project team. You go to someone that will initiate the architects, mainly the first port of call. They'll obviously put a team together, or they'll get a project manager to put a team together, a professional team. We'll start with the concept. Once the concept is, rubber stamped, like, this is what we're going for, then the other professionals get involved, like myself.
Okay.
Because if you're not happy with the concept and we start doing our design work based on something that you're not happy with, it's going to change. It's a waste of my time, your time, everyone's time.
All right. Yeah. So everything's got to be sort of ready and waiting for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I'm not saying that everything is going to be, as is from when we start.
Yeah.
There's obviously going to be changes. When I come in, I'll tell the architect, look, there's certain things that doesn't work for me. We need to change this.
So now you said you're a Guji guy. Most of the family's in finance, and what about your folks? I mean, are you the first engineer in your family, or?
Funny enough, no. I've got a cousin that's a chemical engineer, but he ended up going back into finance again.
Okay.
So I was hoping I don't go down that route, but funny enough, with engineering, there's also finance.
Okay.
And right now, I'm more project management, which is finance related. So I'm watching the figures invoicing clients, making sure people don't overspend or overspend the budget.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, also, I'm still doing some design work, which is cool.
And don't you come from like a family of famous shopkeepers or business people? Or,
Yeah. So my family, I'm currently 4th generation.
Right. 4th generation South African.
South African, yeah. 3rd generation. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. No, 3rd generation.
Okay.
So we've had businesses in Durban for a while. Actually, I think it's over close to 100 years now.
Sheesh.
We closed our last shop in 2018.
Okay.
Or 2019, early 2019.
Yeah.
But we've had a supermarket which was quite famous in Durban, Victoria Street.
Yeah, what was it called?
Gosai Supermarket.
Gosai Supermarket. Yeah. And people from Durban will, the old timers especially will know.
The thing is, like, we've known the supermarket, we grew up with it. Yeah. And it was part of our life.
Yeah.
But like to sometimes come to Johannesburg or even like our places where people will, when you say your name and they're like, Gosai Supermarket.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
How do you know about it?
Yeah.
And like we'll get people that come up to us and say, we should come shopping at your supermarket or go to the clothing store. My granny used to take us to buy our school shoes there. Yeah. And you're like blown away by it. And like, you don't know how many people that actually visited your store know about your store.
Did you used to go work there? Like,
unfortunately, I didn't have much of a December holiday when I was a kid. As soon as schools were closed, we were in the supermarket.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they were.
Yeah.
I mean, that's make the most of these kids. I mean, come on.
Exactly. I mean,
what were you doing there? Like,
so it was a bit of everything. Yeah. Obviously, it was mainly not packing shelves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we had different departments in the supermarket. It was quite big. Mm-hmm. So we should help with the cosmetic department where everything was behind counter.
Yeah.
So it almost like a pharmacy, but it wasn't a pharmacy.
Right.
So people will come, they want like not medication, like Panado or deodorants, whatever. Stuff that was like, small items. And we should take cash.
Okay. So you used to handle money and things like that physically.
Yeah, physically. And then Christmas time, it was a bit of everything because it was always chaos.
Yeah, yeah.
Queues were going out the store.
Right.
So packing shelves, making sure everything is stocked up. And then New Year's was like also a fun time for us. We should sell fireworks. We were one of the few businesses in town that had an explosive license to deal in explosives. So a lot of people love fireworks over the New Year's, and we only got
it's Durban. Yeah.
And it's Durban. And you only got 4 days, that gap between Christmas and New Year to sell, or New Year's Eve to sell your fireworks. And we should push. And it was quite fun.
Yeah.
And then after that, we got like a bit of a lull until back to school starts.
Okay. And I'm guessing Diwali time was similar with the fireworks story.
Not really, eh?
Yeah.
It's more New Year's than Diwali, yeah.
Okay. So you were exposed to that from like childhood, this kind of working.
Very early age. I'd say probably 7, 8 years.
Did you look forward to it, or were you like one of the lazy types like me, like, I don't want to go, I want to be on holiday?
At first it was like, everyone's on holiday. Why do I have to come work in the shop? But then because it was a family business and all my cousins and relatives were there, you enjoyed going there. And my gran used to stay across the road in the building there in town.
Yeah.
So we should go there for lunch, see her every day. So it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the thing that kept us together.
Yeah, the community.
The family aspect of it. When you look at family and people with large families, like my dad has 5 brothers, 5 sisters. That essence of coming together almost every day, seeing each other, or even on the weekends too.
Yeah,
it was fun,
and everybody contributed to this common purpose.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so you said 2018 was the last shop that was.
Yeah, the clothing store. 2019, actually, it was 2019. My dad and his elder brother were running it, and they weren't looking at selling, but someone came in and said, "Look, I'd like to make an offer." Dad came home, we spoke about it, did the proper Guji thing and accounting thing, looked at the figures, rental, stuff, all of that. We said, you know what, you are looking another 2 years until you retire. We don't have an offer like this going to come in again.
And the son is not taking over?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I can't bring fancy cars into town. So, we made a decision to sell up. And
you said we now, so it was a family decision.
Yeah. I mean, even to my dad's brothers who are not involved, we consulted them because we always look for inspiration and other aspects and advice from them. So we said, okay, let's do it. And in hindsight, it worked out well because the next year, 2020, COVID hit.
Oh, sure. So that was lucky.
So I mean, we would have had not been trading for like a good few months, and I don't think the business would have survived if it did. And what we always say, like even when we sold our supermarket back in 2010, we left on a high.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for the clothing store. We left on a high. We didn't owe people money. We weren't liquidated or
That worked
bankrupt.
out really well.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
So it's this, we can go out and say, the businesses were successful and we closed it successfully.
Yeah. Do you ever gone back there and like driven past and had some nostalgia? And
So we still own the properties.
okay.
So we go back. I was there like about a month back.
So the buildings and stuff you guys own?
Yeah. The one building in particular where the supermarket is.
Yeah.
And we've got tenants there, but we still got like stuff happening there. Yeah. So I do go now and then. My dad goes twice a week, I think.
Right.
And so does his brothers. But yeah, you go back, the nostalgia is still there, but at the same time, it's not what it was. As people say, things change.
Yeah.
And the business, if it was still there, we had to evolve the business to suit the current climate. It would have worked, but it's a lot of hard work.
And Durban, just on that topic, I mean, I watched a video. I watched this guy on YouTube. He's got a channel called Living in South Africa. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, no, I have, yeah.
He did a 1 hour video going into Durban proper, like town and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was super impressed by how nice the place actually looks. Because, Durban has been getting a lot of negative publicity recently. Yeah. Am I right? Or is it on the up, or what's it like?
Look, in terms of the city itself, like where we were based, it's a high traffic area because there's the Victoria Street Market there.
Yes.
A lot of tourists come in.
Yeah.
There's a taxi rank just down the road.
Yeah.
And look, it's got all the CBDs in general in South Africa have the essence that it's not safe.
Yeah.
And look,
but this guy went into Victoria Street Market. I was like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, look, Victoria Street Market is one of the main tourist destinations in Durban. So if you're a tourist coming from overseas and you're on a tour bus, they're definitely stopping there for spices, for curios. So to their credit, Durban Solid Waste, every morning without fail, they're cleaning up the streets.
Okay.
But like, it does get dirty.
Okay.
There is not crime, but there's petty crime.
Okay.
So like pickpocketing. So you just got to be, like anyway, you got to be careful.
Okay. I appreciate your insight because I know you travel a lot in the country.
Yeah.
So we will dig into that a bit later. Now, okay, so that's the family life. That's the shop life.
Yeah.
The business. You do a drafting course, you get into design in the early stages. And then is there a transition to becoming like an engineer proper, or how does that work? Or
yeah,
you have to register
definitely.
with a body.
Yeah, there's a professional body called EXA.
Yeah. What's it called?
EXA.
Yeah.
Engineering Council of South Africa.
Right.
That you have to not register with. You get a professional registration.
PR or something.
PR. Yeah. You get PR Tech, you get PR Eng. So if you're engineer, PR Eng, or if you're a technician like me, you get PR Tech Eng.
Okay.
So I'm currently registering to getting my professional registration. There's various clauses that apply to me because I didn't go the conventional route to varsity,
right,
and get my degree as such.
Yes,
but because of my, as I said, I've been working in the industry for 20 years now. Because of my experience and what I know, they obviously have to test me on that, and able to give me the registration. So
you have to write exams and stuff soon?
Not really exams. They call it TERS, where you write like assignments on the various projects you do.
TERS, TERS?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's one last major assignment that you've got to submit, and then there's an interview process.
Yeah.
So first, in my case, they'll probably have 2 interviews where they'll interview me in terms of my knowledge on, my experience. And then the main interview is where they'll see whether I'm fit to get the PR.
Okay. So when's that coming up?
Hopefully, I'm hoping to submit in Feb.
Sheesh, so you got some work ahead of you.
Yeah, lots of work. But
the blog is going to take a backseat, or what?
The thing is, with the blog, why I started the blog, I like writing.
Okay.
So in school, creative writing and essays, that was my forte.
Really?
As much as people, most of the students didn't like it, I loved it. I don't think for English I got anything less than 80% for my essays.
Okay.
Yeah, my creative.
That is very, in my experience, that's unusual for the engineering types.
Yeah.
Because all the engineers I know, like they're great with numbers and they're super intelligent, but I'd want to proofread their stuff a couple of times as a lawyer.
Exactly. I mean, and at the same time, that's why I love writing reports for projects as well.
Yeah.
And now, because of where I'm going in the company, I'm a bit senior now, so I have to give it to somebody else. But I always also like proofread it,
delegate,
change things. And make it look nice, make it sound nice.
Okay, I didn't know this about you. I just assumed this engineering types, these guys. And also, I mean, yeah, we'll get into it just now, but I want to figure out we haven't talked about it, right? So you start working, you're doing this engineering type of work, and then just randomly, who just thinks, let me start a blog? How does that happen? Like, was there an epiphany one day you woke up and said, let's do this blog? Or
not really. It was in the back of my mind, but at the same time, a lot of people were starting blogs back then.
Okay.
So there wasn't much like mainstream, like even YouTube was not very accessible to everybody. And obviously you need equipment and back then it was difficult to break into like a video stuff. And
wait, hold on. You're saying a lot of people started blogs.
Yeah. So blogs were very popular back in like 2010, but it was almost like an online journal where people used to like journal and people should read what they used to do.
No, but so what this tells me is that you had an online presence. Clearly, because people that are not online won't know that a lot of people are starting blogs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what were you like? Were you on Twitter or what was it?
So obviously,
Mixit.
Yeah.
People, we're showing our age, but Mixit was like the first messaging platform in South Africa, right?
Yeah. And was the most accessible to everybody and cheapest.
Right.
And then obviously BBM came in and whatever the case is. But I did have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
And funny enough, a cousin of mine who was going to India.
Right.
And I was like, hey, at that time, post pictures on Facebook. And she's like, no, I'm going to be posting on Twitter. No, what's Twitter?
Okay.
Sends me a link to her profile. I log in, I follow her. Then I was like, seeing her pictures. And then eventually curiosity got the better of me. And I said, who else can I follow?
How did she know Twitter?
I have no idea. I need to ask her this.
Yeah, please find out because in my mind, you're big on Twitter, right? I think
that is my biggest social media platform where I've got the most following.
Okay.
Apart from the blog, but yeah.
So your cousin is going to India. You say put on Facebook. So this is probably around 2007, post 2007.
2007, yeah.
Exactly. That's when Facebook came out, right?
Yeah.
In South Africa or wherever in the world.
Yeah.
So you said put it on Facebook. She says do it on Twitter. You're like, what is this? Let me look. You dig.
Yeah.
You get into Twitter.
And the thing is with Twitter, everyone wants to follow the international celebs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. But for me, it was, okay, let's see what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
So it was all the local celebs.
Yeah.
Whether it be radio DJs, actors, or even like, people in corporate that are having accounts to, share their thoughts.
Right.
So...
And Twitter used to call itself a micro-blogging website, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So the thing is, and it had character limits back then.
Yes, 140.
Yes.
Okay.
And that included when you tagged people or used hashtags and things like that. So it got your brain thinking to get a message across in that short, character limits.
Yeah.
Also, hashtags were big on Twitter because that was the whole thing to search.
Yeah.
So from that, your brain, you have to like sort of, when you want to get a message across, you got to think about how you're going to phrase it and things like that. So
yeah, there was an art to Twitter.
There was an art to it. Yeah. You can say that. A lot of people just went there and spoke nonsense.
Yeah.
Which at the same time was also fun.
Yeah.
But
we all did, right?
Yeah, we all did.
I mean, if you look at your Facebook memories.
Right?
That's the one thing, in my opinion, that shows you that you've grown.
Exactly,
You look at a post from 10 years ago, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, it's a cringe moment.
We'll probably look at this podcast in 10 years' time and say, can't believe you and I sat down on a couch at Yaks practice and we're talking about our life. Exactly. But hopefully it's not too cringe.
No, I don't think it's cringe at all.
So you start Twitter 2007, you realize there's this place online where people are journaling and documenting their life and their experience.
And also the thing is you find like-minded people.
Right.
And while may have a creative side, someone else's creativity inspires you.
Yes.
And then you follow them. Yeah. I'm not saying copy them, but maybe like adapt to what you can do.
Of course. There's no such thing as an original idea, apparently.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, we've seen it in the car industry. Everyone's like, a new car comes out, it looks like this, it looks like that. I was like, how? It's got 4 wheels.
Yeah.
Doors. Obviously, all cars are going to, but there's similarities that they're going to borrow. I mean, we're seeing cars coming in from China now that mimic cars from Europe.
Yes. So you see that there's this gap in the market, or there's this outlet where you can express your creativity and you decide, let me start a blog.
Yeah.
about what I love, which is cars. Is that all? Am I summarizing it, paraphrasing it?
No, actually,
Tell
the
me.
blog started off as a journal.
Okay.
Well, not so much like a journal, what I did every day.
Yeah.
It was just things that I thought about. If you go to like my first blog post was an introduction about me.
Which year is this and when? Do you know?
It was in 2010.
2010?
Yeah.
First blog post. What's
Yeah.
the blog called?
The blog is called The Bucket.
Yeah, all right.
And everyone's asked me like, what does it mean? I said, look, I've got the phrase there on top. Everyone thinks it's because I like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Okay.
Which is not.
That used to be your thing on Twitter back in the day. You used to always talk about KFC as a joke, right?
I did, yeah.
I remember this.
But if you think about a bucket,
yeah,
it collects things, whether it be water, sand. So I say the mind's like a bucket.
Right.
So you always thinking about things, filling up your mind with things.
Okay.
And this is an insight into my bucket.
Okay. So it was never the plan that you woke. It was never this.
I mean, you can tell from that I wasn't taking this seriously.
Yeah. You just said, let me just do this thing and talk about what's on my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like, I'm going to do this and become a car blogger and have brands reach out to me. And
no, 100%.
Okay. And does it, like, how long does this happen where you're just going and spewing your thoughts before anything really kicks out?
So back then, I didn't have any like, today I got to write a post. It was just when and whenever.
Okay. And how did you write? On a phone or what?
No,
how did
it was on a computer.
Yeah.
At that time, phones, while you could access the blog, it wasn't very easy to edit and publish on a phone.
Yeah.
So computer, it was only computer back in the day. And like I said, if you look at my early blog post, it was introduction to myself. I even wrote about a potato chip that I like.
Yeah.
I did a comparison on chicken wings.
Okay.
It was odd stuff like that.
Did your parents know you're doing this?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Until...
You know why I asked this?
Yeah.
Because just before you came here, before we started recording, I asked you how's your folks and stuff, and you said your dad is very confused because it's like, where are you going? And you said, I'm going to the dentist. And it's, sometimes our parents don't even know the stuff we're out getting up to, right?
True.
They must have been thinking, look at this guy, he's just playing on his computer. He's not.
No, that's exactly what they think because, again, family business, old school manual labor.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting at a computer just
conventional labor.
Clicking away.
Yeah. Get off that computer.
It's like you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
So, it's still to this day when I explain I get invited to launches, whether it be cell phones or cars.
Yeah.
They still don't grasp as to how and why I'm going.
Yes.
I mean, they happy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they find it difficult because they still old school, want to read in the paper.
Yes. And like, let's just imagine you're in matric, right? And you go to your folks and say, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
They would never say to you, Amith, become a social media influencer, blogger, because they don't know it doesn't exist. You didn't even know about it, right? When you started.
Yeah, exactly.
You just journaling thoughts and and also like, I'm assuming, when your dad's saying, you're wasting your time on the computer, a part of you might have thought, I am wasting my time here, right?
No, true.
Yeah.
True. Because at that time, it wasn't taking, as I said, I had no intention of it to take off.
Yeah.
It's just me doing what I wanted to do. It was another outlet for me.
Yes.
Because I feel people need outlets in their life.
Yes.
Whether it's, going to see friends and talking about life in general or writing things in a journal manually or on the computer.
Yeah.
And as I said, you never know who's going to read it and, associate with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know about famous Yash notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My UNISA study notes.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sitting with King Yash.
I talk about them.
Yeah. So...
how did people actually read your blog? Like, how did you get it out there?
So I used to use my various social media streams, so Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah.
But with where I use a Blogspot, it's a hosting website by Google.
Right.
It helps also, on the search engines when people search for things.
Okay.
So it'll be one of the top ones because it's from Google and people use Google, it'll show up. So if they search for a certain thing, my blog will be probably there. Okay. And as I said, it took me a while to sort of realize what I want to blog about because I should just blog about anything and everything. Yeah. And then I said, no, you know what? If this is a reflection of me, I'd rather just stick to things that I like. So I form categories.
Okay.
So music is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And electronic music.
Okay.
Because in my work, I do a lot of traveling, mainly on my own. And the thing that keeps me going and not falling asleep on the road and concentrating is electronic music.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'll feature a song every week.
Yeah.
And then I also started doing tech, because tech's a big part of my life as well. I don't consider myself a huge tech fundi, but I take interest in cell phones, high-end audio, things like that.
Yeah.
So again, it's what I like.
EDM, tech, cars.
And then cars. And then fortunately, or unfortunately, some people might say, in the industry, at the time, there was a lot of other brands like getting in touch with me, asking me if I can help out. And a couple of the events I've attended was like through some of the publications.
Okay.
One of them was FHM.
Right.
So I got to meet a lot of the models.
Wait, how do you get? But FHM reached out to you? No, wait. Amith, you're going too fast.
Okay. I need to rewind.
There's no time limit on this, and I'm really interested in this conversation.
Yeah.
So you're writing all these thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming somewhere along the line, you realize people are actually reading this nonsense.
Yeah, when you start seeing, like, you can see each article, how many views and reads it gets.
Yeah.
And it goes right down to unique views where people just like browse the thing or they're properly reading it.
So the analytics tell you.
Yeah, the analytics tell you like how many people are properly reading your blog, and then you're like.
So when did you notice? Was there ever like a specific article that went viral or?
Yeah, for the wrong reasons though.
Tell? I didn't know this, but you could tell me if you.
No. I'd love to share the story because her life is, it's quite a prominent one in South Africa, and it again for the wrong reasons. But as I said, so let me just backtrack a bit and tell you how I get to the FHM's part. So PR companies started noticing my blog.
Okay.
And those guys reached out to me and say, look, we're working with this brand, that brand, would you like to assist?
Right.
So again, at the time I said, okay, fine, let me just try everything. I didn't want to filter out I'm only going to concentrate on this.
Yes.
And one of the brands was X, and they were doing work in conjunction with FHM.
Okay.
So I attended.
Work with who?
FHM.
Okay.
The publication.
Right.
So they invited me a few of the parties. That's where I met most of the South African models.
How old are you at this time now?
23, 24.
So still young.
Very young.
Yeah.
And then, it's like nothing I've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
You invite
you to
with
a party.
200 models.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, is this what heaven's like?
Yeah.
And then they're like curious as to who you are.
Yeah.
So you tell them, and then they're like, oh, you got a blog. Oh, there's this competition coming up. Would you mind featuring me?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. So that's where the Bucket Babe segment came.
Oh, Bucket Babe. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember this.
So I interviewed a lot of local. I said first, I'll keep it local.
Yeah.
And then one or two international models even approached me.
Yeah.
Via the website, they contacted me. Hey, we see you feature. Can you feature me? Mainly because obviously they're part of some competition or whatever the case is.
Right.
And it was just like, I told them, just send me a bio, pictures, and we'll put it up. Until Reeva Steenkamp approached me.
Is this where we're getting to the viral?
Yeah, the viral blog post.
Okay.
And
Reeva Steenkamp was Oscar Pistorius'
the late girlfriend of him.
Yes.
So I sent her, I said, look, this is what I want. And then she got back to me and she says, no, make it more interesting.
Does she approach you?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Reeva, explain. She's like, no, I've looked at your blog. It's very cool. But I just feel this segment can be more. Like when you ask me questions, things like that. So I said, okay, so we workshopped with it. There was emails with us back and forth, how we can change the segment. And in that interview, she gave me her basically her life story, which she never shared with any other publication, printed or online.
Okay.
So that was, I'm not sure when, but I know it was about 2 years before she passed on.
Okay.
So,
so this is probably around 2011,
yeah, around about there.
The early 2010s.
And the thing is, even after I published it, it obviously got quite a few hits at the time.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but a few. And then she kept telling me, why don't you try doing this? Why don't you, maybe, you from Durban, tell people what's nice to see in Durban.
Oh.
She kept giving me ideas on the blog.
Wow.
And her last email to me was, you got something good and I'm going to help you get your name out there.
Wow, that's so cool.
And then, when she did pass on, obviously, again, as I mentioned before, with the search with Google, my article was number one. So it got featured on CNN, BBC, Sky.
Wow.
I got the guys that wrote the book about her, Karen Moore and everybody else. they feature my blog.
Oh my goodness.
There's some snippets from the blog in there because, as I said, no one spoke about her life, whether it was published or online. And then it went through like where she had a horse riding accident, hurt her back. She could have never walked again, but she went through that. So that day she passed on. The views on that article was sitting at maybe 5,000 before
at the
that.
time, yeah.
It skyrocketed to over 500,000
Sure.
within the space of like 3 hours.
I never knew this story. Eh? This is such an interesting thing.
Yeah. So that's why like a lot of what my blog has to do is got to do with her.
Wow.
Sort of got my name, the blog, internationally recognized.
And she seemed like a really nice person who was
very, very cool. I
just wanted to help
I never got to meet her like personally on a one-on-one level.
Yes.
The one
like
time we arranged to meet, and we were both in Cape Town at the same time, and she said, let's have breakfast at the spot. And then I was waiting, and then I said, I got stood up.
Okay.
And then like 3 hours later, she messaged me and she like, no, she had a blackout and she collapsed as she entered the mall.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, when I was leaving the mall, I saw the ambulance taking somebody away. I was like, oh, okay, maybe something happened.
Wow.
That was her in the ambulance. She had a blackout and then she had to go out. So yeah, but that in essence what made the blog go viral. That was the one viral post. Look, after that there were others, but nothing to the extent of that. Yeah.
That's a fascinating story, man. And so the blog is still going on?
Blog is still going on. Very limited categories now. There's just 3 that I focus on.
Yeah.
Music, cars and tech.
Okay.
Sometimes if something that catches my mind, or interest that I want to get the word out there, I'll do it.
So this is how you're driving cars every week, literally?
Correct.
Tell me some cars. Like, you see, firstly, you'll know this about me. I know nothing about cars. Like, to me, I rate a car if it looks cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that was me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I liked the look of cars, which is why I wanted to become a car designer.
Yeah.
So in school, I was always doodling cars, like drawing, not current cars. I was drawing like future, what the cars could look next.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So again, coming back to the car thing, as I said, it was first BMW that approached me. I did advanced driving with them. Then I went for a launch. Then they gave me cars. Then they have a sister brand, Mini.
Okay.
They also said, okay, we'll use you. I was one of the first non-journalists to be at a car launch in South Africa. And the amount of stick that I got at that first one.
Yes. Because from the purists.
Unreal.
Really?
Like the journalists, some of us become good friends now.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you doing here? Who are you? What publication you write for? I was like, my own. Like, oh, okay. So where did you study journalism? I didn't study journalism. Like, then how are you going to be constructive? And
this is so interesting.
What testing equipment are you using? I don't know, my phone.
Yeah.
What do you take pictures with? My phone.
Wow.
So
they were like looking at you with skepticism and
they honestly thought it was going to be like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And
a chancer. You're a bit of a chancer. Who's this guy?
Yeah. And then from there, I think brands started seeing value in having, people that are outside the journalistic spectrum.
Yes.
We call them now influencers.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it depends on each one, what they talk about and what their audience wants. It works.
It's funny. This is a very coincidental thing because I was watching, you might know MKBHD.
Yes, I do.
He's a tech influencer, right? Biggest in the world. He was talking about how back in the day, all the big tech companies used to only reach out to like proper journalists, right?
Yes.
And now it's the other way around. So you might have been one of the pioneer influencer journalist types in South Africa.
I don't want to say it, but I mean, early doors.
Please do say it though.
Early doors, I was like the only guy that wasn't a proper journalist writing for a paper. Even to my first tech event.
Yeah.
I was excited to be there. But at the same time, all the tech journalists were like, with themselves, I'm there standing alone. I'm just happy to be there.
And you don't feel, because when you were telling me the story about how you got invited to this FHM, I put myself in your shoes and I was thinking, I would have been nervous. Like,
no, I was. I'm. A lot of people think I'm extroverted, but I'm an introvert.
I think that, yeah.
I'm an introvert, but I was always that guy standing in the corner, not wanting to like participate in anything. But this sort of threw me out there. And I was like, after the second or third event where I was just keeping to myself, I was like, look, if I don't introduce myself.
No, but it threw you out there, but you still had to say yes.
Yeah.
It's not, you could have easily just said, nah, I'm busy.
Yeah. I mean, it did cross my mind because, again, most of the events are during the week.
Yeah.
I've got to take time off from work.
Yes.
I've got to see what my schedule is at work, whether I can make it or not.
Yes.
So at the same time, it came down to that. And then when you're going there, if you're going to be, a recluse, just sitting to yourself, doing everything yourself, you're not going to get the whole experience.
Oh, like a wallflower sitting in the corner.
Yeah. And look, you still get those people when I go to launches, you'll see them and you're like, I've been there.
Yeah.
So I've always make the effort to go greet them, see what they are, what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then, give them advice or even seek advice from them.
Okay.
Because you never know. As you said, there's never an original idea.
So the point I wanted to make is like, you've got to just say yes.
Yeah.
Right? And sort of maybe even force yourself if you don't want to really do it.
Exactly.
Because there's always an excuse not to do something.
That's the thing. It's easier to say no than yes.
Yeah. It's a nice, I like that. I mean, do you think you said you're an introvert, so it wouldn't have come naturally to you to just say yes, put myself out there.
Exactly, yeah.
But you probably had some sort of foresight to think, I need to do it. It's a necessary evil. So.
No, it's something that I wanted to experience as well. Because the thing is, as much as I still am attending launches, one day it can stop.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit there and say, I should have went for this. I should have went for this.
Yeah. Experience it, live it, enjoy it while it's there.
Yeah.
Why I think you're an extrovert, or why I assumed you're an extrovert, is because you and I met. I met you on Twitter. Like my family and my close friends would say, oh, you're going out with your Twitter bras. Like I did not met you in real life.
Even though we were from the same city.
Same city, same, similar groups of friends and things. There's always that 7 degrees of separation sort of thing. But I can't remember exactly, but you just said, hey, let's meet up. And we ended up meeting, and you became actually a closer friend than a lot of my school friends and things. But we met on Twitter.
Yeah,
so weird. And I used to think, these guys are super outgoing, because to me, it was a foreign concept to just randomly meet people that you just only spoken to online. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you never know who you're going to meet. Fortunately for us, we're not serial killers or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, not yet. But the point is, like, I admire the fact that you guys just put yourselves out there and are keen to meet up with people. You don't say who's going to be there. Or,
exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That used to be my line.
Yeah.
When people would say, let's go somewhere, I say, who's coming? Now I purposefully force myself to not ask that question.
Yeah.
Because I want to put myself in a situation where I'm meeting somebody I don't know, and you never know.
Exactly, yeah.
You never know.
And that's the beauty about networking, and it ties into the business aspect of things as well. Like the last year I'm not part of a golf club, but my friend is, and I play golf, but I'm not really good.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, we won short this weekend. Can you join us? So I was like, okay, cool. Now, normally in golf, your pairings are 4.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm going to be with my friend, so at least I know him. But when I go there, they're like, no. It's a random, you get picked randomly. And I'm paired with 3 other guys who I've never met in my life.
Yeah.
And, once you start, it's a social game. You have to talk to each other. And then I got to know these guys. And like one guy is he's the owner of the supplier that I use.
Okay.
And I'm like blown away. And the old CEOs, CFOs. And like, I'm not saying only in golf aspect, but like, going to meet up.
Yeah.
If someone invites me for like a drink session or coffee with some of their friends, you get to know what they're doing, and you never know how it could relate back to you.
So you're conscious and you're conscious of the importance of networking, and
very much so.
And sometimes I don't like the term networking, because it has a bit of a selfish sort of connotation to it, like you're doing it just to. But I think you actually, what I like to call it, is making connections.
Yes.
And I think you actually really like to make connections with people.
No, I do.
I
like to find out what makes people tick,
right?
What they enjoy, or what they are helpful for. So that's why when people come to Durban and or in general, do you know anyone can do this? Anyone can do that?
Yes.
I'm like, I did meet someone a couple months back. I got their number. Let me just check with them.
I noticed this about you, even up till now today.
Yeah.
Yak Lindy's aircon is not working in this room, and he said, let me sort something out for him. I know somebody who can. It's really, I like that about you, and I would try to emulate it and encourage people to have that kind of mindset and attitude. Help others.
The thing is, helping others gives you a sense of like, accomplishment. You got them something that they needed.
Yes.
And you often find it's not hard.
Yes.
It is not difficult to help somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, a car guard giving him a 2 rand, even if you're there for like 1 minute.
Yeah.
He's happy. You gave him something.
Yeah.
And in the same breath, like, your aircon's not working. No, I know somebody here in Johannesburg that can sort it out for you.
Yeah.
Again,
it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Where does AMG 133 come from? And what is this? Just for the listeners and viewers, AMG 133 is Amith's Twitter handle,
Instagram handle, even to the blog to its AMG blogspot, AMG133blogspot.com.
AMG133.blogspot.com.
Correct.
Yeah, what is this AMG 133 now?
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the car.
Okay.
Yeah. So my initials.
Wait, the car is the Mercedes AMG.
Car, yeah. So my initials my name is Amith Gosai.
Right.
And it's a weird thing because back in the day when you had internet for the first time, you only had one email address.
Okay.
If you wanted multiple email addresses, you had to pay.
Right.
So it was a merge of my name and my brother's name. My brother's name is Mahesh.
Mahesh, yeah.
So MAG sounded not as nice as AMG.
Yeah.
So that was our shared email address, which became my email address after that. And
Okay.
it just stuck. And then when I joined Twitter, it needed like characters as well. So I mean like numbers.
Yeah.
So our address in Victoria Street for the property is 133 Victoria Street. So that's where the 133 comes from.
I thought 13th March, maybe your birthday or something.
No, it's got nothing to do with my birthday is actually 420, by the way.
Oh, okay.
April 20th.
Wow, light up with that.
I don't partake in it, but everyone's like, why? You're born on that day.
420, okay. Have you told the story about the AMG 133, where it comes from before?
Just to people when they ask in person.
But not out there.
Not out there. Yeah, no one knows why it's there.
Okay, so you heard
every
it here
time
first.
I do, yeah, you gotta.
I got an exclusive.
You got an exclusive, yeah. And every time I do want to change it to my proper name, I was like, you know what, it's too much effort, just leave it.
No, I like it. It's got a good ring to it. It flows off the tongue.
Yeah.
AMG 133. Even sometimes when I see you in real life, I'll be like, AMG 133.
A lot of people call me AMG.
Yeah.
And
AMG.
I'm like, okay,
and it
just
works.
six,
Amith Gosai.
Yeah.
It works. You don't have a middle name, do you?
No, I don't. I'm the only sibling that doesn't. So
yeah, that's unique for
my parents didn't like me that much.
Our culture. No, they just said, let's name him once, give him one name, and that's it. It's not like New York.
And even for my name's like in four letters, Amith, AMITH. Well, 5 letters, but some people.
And it autocorrects to Smith. So sometimes I call you Smith.
A lot of people call me Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people call me Nash for that very reason. Yash.
I quite like Yash and Gravy because of the KFC connection.
Yeah, that was I had to make a Gmail account because there were so many services on Gmail.
Yeah.
So I just made it. And sometimes when I share that email address to people, it's embarrassing because I had to recently share it with an advocate because she wanted to share a larger file with me. And then I felt so embarrassed to give her my Gmail one. But I'll still read that document, Jade. I'm looking forward to it. Now, so I asked you, did you ever put that story out there? On that sort of note, have you ever been on a podcast or you done your own podcasting and things like that?
No, not really, but I tried.
I'm your first?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Look, I've been interviewed on news. I don't think that counts.
It does. Well, yeah, okay. That's a mainstream media. Elon Musk will look down on that.
Exactly.
Tell me about the news thing.
Well, it wasn't really. Okay, news was for, I think, one of the events in Johannesburg. Well, it mainly was at events.
I think I saw it, hey.
Oh, the most recent one was Espresso TV show.
Yes.
Where I went to a Samsung event.
Yeah.
But previously it was for some motoring stuff, some tech stuff.
Oh, okay. So you've been on mainstream media.
Yeah. A bit. And also on CakeNet.
CakeNet, right.
So through Twitter, I became friends with a guy he calls as Jan Braai.
Jan Braai, yeah.
He started off the whole National Braai Day campaign and
he's famous. Yeah.
Became quite good friends with him. I shared recipes. I like to cook.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure you'll touch on that.
I've got that. That's literally a note here. You love cooking.
So, so he and another guy that again I met on Twitter, Dan Nickel, who's quite a big celeb. He's got his own wine show, TV show, things like that. They reached out to me a couple of times and they're coming out to Durban. They're like, we in Down. Would you want to meet up with us?
Yeah.
So like for National Braai Day, the one year he was doing a 3-city braai tour.
Yeah.
So he started off having braai breakfast in Johannesburg, braai lunch in Durban, and then in Cape Town ending up for the Sunset Braai. And the Durban leg, he's like, "Why don't you join us?"
Yeah.
So I went up to the newly restaurant in Umhlanga where they cooked on coal.
Yeah.
We had lunch with the whole Sharks team.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from there, obviously that was televised. And then he came down again for another Sharks game where he bribed for the entire team and the opposition team. So I was there for that. Obviously didn't talk much because I don't speak Afrikaans.
Yes,
as my first tongue. But I was there.
Cake net.
And
Cake
then, then one of the other ones where we had like a bride competition at Suncoast Towers. And he's like, "I want you to have a team there."
Yeah.
So it's going to be televised again. So I needed to like think now, who can I invite to be on my team? Like obviously I want friends there, but also they got to be
able to do the thing.
The thing on camera. So a very good friend of mine, Kajal Bagwandin, who's an actress and a presenter. She was one of them, and she also likes cooking, which helped.
Yeah.
Another friend of mine, friend of a friend who at the time worked for Unilever. He was brand manager for Robertson's.
Right.
I said, "Look, I got to have you there because we're using your spices."
Yeah.
And then I needed someone to bribe, do the hard work.
Yeah.
So another good friend of mine, Vikesh, who's very handy when it comes to that.
Vikesh, I think I know him.
Yeah, we call him more famously known as Vax.
Vax, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you see, you knew people.
Yeah.
Like, so these guys, you got to know people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just rock up there with your...
And it was such a nice little thing. You know, even though it was a contest, everyone was there having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the other teams also had celebs. So we had like Neil Tovey had his own team there, you know, for famous Bafana captain who won the African Cup of Nations. And like a whole lot of other guys were there. And I think we placed second. Yeah.
Wow. And do you feature these things on your blogs or not really?
Yeah. No, that I did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was quite an achievement for us.
Yeah.
You know, the Indian team shining through there.
Can I go and watch that is it available online or?
I need to check up. I don't know if it's still there, but, you know, I'm not very avid CakeNet watcher. So
funny, on this topic of, because CakeNet's on DSTV, right?
Yes, yeah.
I'm just thinking of that show. I didn't watch it organically.
Yeah.
Because people that I know that live in the same house as me watch it. I don't want to out them.
Yes.
But it's that what's it called? Spice, Sugar and Spice, or the mummies.
Mummy Club, yeah.
A mummy club where it's like all these Durban celebrities.
Yeah, it's like a reality TV show.
Yes, and there was one episode that went viral where the lady is talking about her significant other being a doctor, and then everybody else says, "No, he's not a doctor. He's just a..."
Well, a surgeon, I think it was.
Oh, surgeon. And then they say, "No,
he was just doing his locum practice.
His internship.
Yeah.
You haven't been on that show yet.
I don't see myself being on that show.
Well, you never know.
That's probably one of the ones where I'll probably say no.
I enjoyed that show.
It's doing well, but I don't think you sort of you build your brand.
Yeah.
And while it's great for me to have exposure on the show, it's not part of the brand.
So now you're a bit more discerning, because remember earlier you mentioned you would just say yes to anything.
Yeah.
Now you're a bit more discerning, and you've got to keep that in mind, like your personal brand. And
True, yeah.
Okay, so on the topic of doctors now, what do you think about doctors? We have to talk about something in it. Like, what's your experience? Do you have friends, family, doctors?
Yeah, I've got quite a few relatives that are doctors, specialized doctors. So,
yeah.
A lot of friends that are doctors as well.
Yeah.
Look, medical for us, it's very important, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are looking at natural healing these days, but I still feel there's a need for science.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in science.
Yeah.
And
I'm guessing you know lots of like influencers / celebrities / famous doctors, or not really?
Not really, no. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to consider my friends famous.
Yeah.
I mean, we both know a surgeon, Sandir.
Oh, yes, Sandir.
I mean, but he's like popular because of the patients that speak out of how he treats people and his approach to it. And, you know, doctors like that for me are, you know, 1 in a million.
How do you pick a doctor? Like as a you're the first lay person.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, like, you know, engineers, lay person.
Yeah.
Don't think you're here to get laid. It means you're just not you're not a doctor on the show, right?
Yeah.
So how do you pick a doctor? Like,
well, I guess
a dentist or whatever.
I guess starting off, your parents pick them for you.
Okay. All right.
And the family doctor is down the road.
Yeah.
Funny enough, he's a very close family friend.
Yeah.
And he studied with my dad in school.
Okay.
My dad didn't study medicine.
So he's been your family GP for ages?
For ages, from the time I was born.
What's his name?
Dr. Parag.
Parag, okay.
And he's got a brother who's a specialist physician who I ended up going to as well.
Yeah. Where is this, in Reservoir Hills? Or?
Yeah, so the GP is in Reservoir Hills and my physician's at St. Augustine's Hospital.
Okay. Who's the physician?
His brother, Dr. KB Parag.
KB Parag.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, again, because of the history, and I'm quite satisfied with that. But in terms of, as you said, picking doctors, it's tricky. So you look to them for recommendations when you have ailments.
So doctors themselves.
Doctors themselves.
Right.
And obviously the doctors that you trust, because, you're going to them, you're seeing them.
But how do you trust them? How do you know to trust them?
That's the thing. You just have to trust them. But a couple of years ago, I had a issue, medical issue.
Yeah.
And all the doctors I've seen in Durban, like the friends that I consulted with, told me, look, you need to try and see this guy, see if he can sort you out. And I had no luck. Like literally all the doctors I got referred to told me that there was nothing wrong with me, and they don't see an issue. I must just go away. But I know there was an issue.
Yeah.
And my uncle in Johannesburg said, look, his client, who was from Middle East, came down to have a similar procedure that you're suffering with here in Joburg at the Donald Gordon Hospital.
Right.
Why don't you go, next time you're up, go see this lady? And I did. And she says, no, you're right. There is something wrong and I can fix you.
Okay.
So I flew up to Johannesburg, had the procedure. Within a week, I was back home. And
So word of mouth is an important thing in...
Yeah. And also, look, trust.
You don't Google and say, like, look at the reviews and...
Yeah, maybe I should. But yeah, no, I didn't.
But who's this Dr. Donald Gordon? Just shout out to her.
Dr. Nadine Herron. Thank you very much.
Nadine?
Herron.
How do you spell that?
I think it's H-R-R-E-N. Oh, A-N, sorry.
H-A-R-R-E-N. Herron.
A-N, yeah.
Okay. So she's... Well, shout out to her. That's great. And you got referred to her. But we're talking about, like... Because I Google... The funny thing is, right?
Yeah.
I know lots of friends and family and colleagues.
Yeah.
But I want to sometimes... out of convenience, find the person closest to me. So I type in like dermatologist near me.
No, look, for things like dentists and things like that, I suppose, that, near me or...
Do you have a dentist?
I do.
Who's the dentist?
Dr. Yushiv Harku.
Okay.
He's based in Durban, not very close to the office, so it's convenient.
Okay.
Yeah, so I saw there's a reminder I need to go see him in March.
Okay, yeah. Discovery is also telling me I need to go for my checkup.
Yeah.
Okay, so you Google and you check, but then...
No, well, this was...
Also recommend.
Well, I know him for a few years.
Harku,
yeah.
Okay.
And as much as to get 1,000 points for vitality, it's also good to have your teeth in your neck.
No, definitely.
You would know that.
Go regularly.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any like negative experiences with doctors? Ever had to complain formally or informally?
Not for me personally, my mom.
Okay, so you've lodged complaints on behalf of your mom?
Well, I wanted to, but obviously we needed other doctors to back up.
Okay.
And no one was willing to go against this doctor because he's quite prominent in...
Okay. That's interesting.
But at the same time, I'm glad my mother's issues were sorted out by the doctor.
Okay.
The second doctor who told us what went wrong and what this guy did wrong.
Okay, second opinions and things like that.
Yeah, she had to go for a second procedure, a corrective surgery.
Okay.
And he told us, like, this guy, it was a botched surgery.
Okay. Oh, so the second opinion gave you that?
Yeah, because it could have led to serious conditions with her. Luckily, we got it sorted out in time. And that's what, got us a bit angry and made me want to take it up. But the thing is, we needed medical or professional backing, which no one wanted to do.
My line of work, I help doctors and dentists and clinicians when they have complaints and in trouble. So I find it fascinating to get the insight from patients. So that's why I'm digging.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Like, did you ever consider like complaining to the regulator and things like that about the
so I did proper research, and as I said, I've got family that are doctors as well, and he was also saying like, no, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to lodge the couple. Get the form, get it filled out, send it through, and see what happens.
And did you guys ever pursue that, or you decided not worth it?
Look, as I said, for one, we didn't get the professional backing that we needed, and two, we got advice from other people saying, you know what, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
If it was, fatal, maybe then it would have been. But my mom got sorted out after that. And
was the doctor that in question, were they evasive or were they?
Yeah, very evasive. When we told them, like, this is a story, he was like, no, nothing was wrong from my side. Yeah.
So not really welcoming the feedback.
No. And also the consulting prior to the first operation was very abrupt from what they told me.
Okay.
It was money first kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And from what we've learned, he's a specialist, but he's not a surgeon, so he shouldn't have been doing the op in the first place.
Okay. So there's a interesting insight there. I
Yeah.
like to see the other side.
I mean, like we non-doctors don't know these things.
Yeah.
Like even I went to go see a consultant, like a gastroenterologist, and he can do a scope, but he can't do the operation. It's all new for us. You don't realize, like, okay, fine, they work with surgeons.
Yeah.
It's all hand in hand. For us, it's just like, no, he'll sort me out.
Yeah, they're the expert. I've got to trust them because you said, and that's why I asked you what actually makes you trust the doctor. One of my colleagues calls the service that doctors and professionals, even engineers and stuff, they call it a credence service, which means that there's such a big gap in the information of the person purchasing the service. So like you as a patient, you have to rely on what the doctor says, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it goes the same way. People come to me as an engineer and I tell them, look, this is what you need to do. And they have to have a certain level of trust that I'm doing the right thing. And, you for best results, you want to give them the best,
Yeah, I get you. Okay.
Best service.
Alrighty. So you love cooking. How does this happen now? Mom teaches you, dad teaches you?
No, not at all. What? Mom wants me out the kitchen.
All right.
Because I mess things up. And I take up space. But
we've been on a couple of trips together, and I look forward to it because you take control there.
Yeah. The Clarence trip was quite a nice one because you were the only person that were fasting that day.
Fasting as in no meat, no meat.
Yeah. So look, cooking for me, maybe just around about high school, started taking an interest. We knew the basics, how to fry an egg and things like that. But like I used to watch a lot of cooking channels.
Okay.
And like, the new reality TV shows at the time, like Ready, Steady, Cook.
Right.
Or make a meal in 10 minutes kind of thing. Yeah. And you see them doing these things in 10 minutes, like, I can do that.
Yeah.
And look, it may not have taken 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the kitchen, a total mess.
And was your mom like, what are you doing? What are you doing here, dude?
Yeah. It's like, I made food. Why are you cooking more stuff? Eat what I made.
Yeah. And there's usually like plenty of food. I'm sure in the Gucci also. There's like too much to eat.
And then, from that, okay, doing the 10-minute stuff. And then you're like looking at other pictures, or you go to a restaurant, you see a meal, you want to replicate it at home. And that just sort of snowballed into a passion. Yeah. Another one of my passions.
Yeah.
And I don't eat beef.
Yeah.
And every time I see steak, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So I try to replicate that with lamb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at least now too, we're getting a lot more different cuts, in terms of meat. So you never used to get a lamb steak before. Now you're getting like a lamb rump.
Well, maybe you must do a channel of just like Amith tries or AMG 133 cooks or something like that.
Funny enough, the Post newspaper, which is a very famous Indian newspaper in Durban, I think it gets circulated to Johannesburg as well.
Yeah.
They featured me a couple of years ago with a few of my recipes.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
you talked about passions now, lots of passions. It seems, I know.
Yeah.
One of them I know you're always going on about is this YNWA nonsense, which is an acronym for?
You'll Never Walk Alone.
Which is, Amith is a big Liverpool...
Very big.
Fanatic. I think I can call you a fanatic the proper sense of the word.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow's a game, right?
Big game.
Well, big game for United, not for you guys. I mean, I wish it's not televised, but...
I always tell people, like, even though we're flying high, that game against United, there's something special about it. You never know what can happen.
Have you been to one of these games? Or are you
I
going?
was meant to go in 2020. I had 2 tickets, one for Liverpool versus Aston Villa in Anfield in the Kop.
Yeah.
And the second, the next weekend was Brighton versus Liverpool away, and I had tickets to that. And literally 2 months before I could leave, lockdown.
Yeah.
Lost my UK visa money, lost the tickets money.
Goodness.
But fortunately, most of the other stuff got refunded.
But it's going to happen again. You're going to plan it sometime.
Hoping this year, April.
Oh, okay. That's soon.
That's soon, yeah.
Okay.
In the next 2 weeks, I should know whether I get my tickets or not.
Well, after you get the PR thing.
Yeah. Well,
there'll be a way to
I'm also turning 40 this year, so
okay, cool.
It's a nice. I want to do it because I was supposed to go on my 36th birthday, so this is going to be the 40th.
Oh, that'll be brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. And okay, we touched on it earlier, but like you travel a lot.
Yeah.
Is it international or like local? You do a lot of local travel. That's what I'm well aware.
With my work.
Yeah.
A lot of local travel, a lot of through KZN.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 years, we started getting the company I work for is actually in Africa and Middle East.
Okay.
So we working throughout that, but we have offices everywhere. And the rule of thumb is if there's work in the city, that office needs to do it. Whether the office in Durban wins the work or not. But because we are the client managers,
Yeah.
we need to go there. So I've got projects in Phalaborwa, Johannesburg,
Yeah.
and
You're traveling all over the place to like places that are less traveled,
yes,
and you get to see the beauty.
it's. I tell people we see things that you don't even think about.
Yeah.
And we've seen places that just blew my mind in terms of beauty,
Yeah.
how people live.
Yeah.
Like I do a lot of schools in rural areas, and we take so much for granted there.
Mm-hmm.
We take, like, running water
I know.
is such a luxury.
I worked in a rural area.
Yeah. I mean, you know yourself.
Yeah.
And like building a school from nothing, it's just a grass field, and seeing the community get uplifted.
Yeah.
So happy to see that, they're getting things finally.
But do you also it gives you an appreciation of the beauty of this country. Eh?
It does.
Yeah.
It
and
does.
the people.
The people more so than, I mean,
Yeah.
look, landscape, nature-wise, I don't think you can find.
Yeah.
I mean, every country in the world got its own beauty, but to appreciate and see what we have to offer in this country is amazing. Yeah, and then with that too, as I said, we get to see places that you don't normally see, and I wouldn't really even want to think about going there.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
and like when you're flying back from an overseas trip, and then you hear that like Afrikaans, or you hear like a local language, you're like, I'm back home, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just that sense of like welcoming, like, I'm back.
Yeah, because the people are what make this place. Eh?
Exactly. I mean, my first overseas trip was in 2007.
Yeah.
And we were staying in this hotel in Bangkok.
Yeah.
And I heard someone speak Zulu.
Yeah.
After like a week, and I was like,
yes, one of us, one of our people are here.
And like, because I used to work in the shop, and predominantly most of our customers were African and Zulu speaking, I know a bit, not a lot.
You can.
So like,
Kuluma isiZulu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kanlani.
Yeah. I was going to say a biki, but that's Afrikaans. But yeah, I got so happy, and then like we went and I'm speaking broken Zulu to them, and they're like, they're also like overjoyed, like
yeah. It's brilliant, man. So that's local travel. You've been catching any international flight? I see you track. Interesting thing. You're like a big flight tracker type. Are you big into aviation?
I love.
Recently you tweeted about an A380 or something coming to South Africa.
Yeah. So the only airport that caters for A380s at the moment is OR Tambo.
What's the A380? It's the
largest passenger plane available. They discontinued. They don't make it anymore.
Airbus.
Yeah. French. So so what happened was last week, flight departed from Sydney, Qantas A380 heading, and they had some mechanical issues. 4 hours into the flight, they had to turn back.
Right.
So now every day
back to Oz. Yeah.
Every day there's a flight from Sydney to Joburg.
Direct flight. Okay.
Direct flight.
Yeah.
So because that flight had to turn around, it had to depart the next day.
Okay.
But there was already a scheduled flight again.
Yeah.
So there was 2 A380s flying 4 hours apart.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was a nice thing for aviation geeks out there.
Yeah.
To see, like, we're getting 2 planes coming from the same
So
destination.
are you like an aviation geek type of thing?
I love aviation, but I wouldn't say a geek.
Yeah, but you follow these
I follow these things.
Yeah.
And I like aviation. Like last year when I went to Mauritius, I got a chance to fly on a A350, which is aircrafts are now going for smaller, more efficient fleet that can go longer distances on, less fuel.
Yeah.
So the A380, 747s, Boeings, they're not very economical.
Okay.
So these smaller planes are much more, streamlined, more comfortable for the passengers, more tech. So that was a nice bucket list tick off for me.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So what flights are you catching or planning on catching, except to the one to Liverpool? Oh.
Well, might be going back to the east end of the year.
Yeah. Work on business.
No. It's for friends, stag.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something to look forward to.
Yeah. No invite. Can't be a mutual friend. It better not be, because I wasn't invited. Yeah.
It's not.
Okay. Yeah, man. All right. Anything else you want to talk about or interested in? Or plug?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, in general, I mean, you said this is about people, about your careers.
Yeah.
I think, even for the youngsters that are going into varsity right now, even though if you're going to be doing BCom or medicine, don't limit yourself. If you got an interest, use it as, concentrate on your studies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't lose interest on other stuff. Like there's so much you can still do while doing your day job. It takes a lot. Trust me, I know this. There's certain days where I don't have time for the blog.
Yeah.
And like I've got it down where I've do 3 posts a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
Monday is for the music, Wednesday is normally for tech, and Friday is for the cars.
How are you distributing this?
All online.
Yeah, via email or like newsletter?
No. So I thought about doing the newsletter thing, but I hate newsletters.
Okay. You don't read them, you just swipe.
Yeah, I delete them or I report them as spam.
Right. So how do you?
So it's all organic.
Okay.
So
there is a following of like organic following. You don't have to trouble people to remind them.
No.
They come to you.
I used to tweet the links. I still do. But before I should like plug it the whole week.
I hardly see you tweeting
now
anything.
Now it's just once. That's it. Okay. On the day itself. Monday, if there's the song, I'll tweet about the link maybe twice a day in the afternoon. So again, with social media, it's very different. Each stream or each platform has different trends.
Oh, so like algorithms
and things like that. So you got to sort of figure out yourself how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no proper science to it, but you got to see what works for you. What time would a certain tweet gain traction?
Yeah.
And you yourselves got to look at it. Okay, I work. I've got a full-time job.
Yeah.
When am I more relaxed to read something? It's during lunch. So that's why you'll see me tweeting something during lunch or link to the blog during lunch.
So there's method to your madness.
There is always method.
Yeah.
And
people won't necessarily realize that.
No, they don't. And like also again, the second one will go out like maybe 7 o'clock or after 7. Why? Because people just finished dinner. They want to watch something on TV or they're scrolling through their phone more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any tips for me? Like I'm starting off here. My video with Kefis, it just took off. I think the YouTube algorithm put it out there on people's homepage. It was Botswana. Tips? Give me some tips for.
Well, with YouTube, I'm not too well versed on it, even though I had a channel for like the longest time.
Yeah.
I don't know if your channel, whether youtube.com/
It's the whole long thing. Why did I become a doctor?
Oh, so it's available.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know before they were randomly just giving numbers.
Oh, no, it's.
Yeah. So I was also fortunate to get my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Name there, but.
What is it? AMG 133.
Amith Gosai, I think it is.
Okay.
But like the videos at first were just ARB.
Right.
And as you said, it's the weirdest things that you don't know how it works, but the weirdest videos get the most traction.
Yeah. Is it car videos and things? No.
I do try and put content on cars there now.
So are you focusing on like you're going to do a proper YouTube channel? Like
yeah. So, but I'm doing more on the short base more than the long base. So there's YouTube Shorts now.
Yes.
Which also very, very tricky in terms of the algorithm to get views.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a nice way to get content out quickly. Because for me, when you're on the go, you want to look at content that's short, but if, has a lot of information on it.
Right.
So that appeals to me. So that's what I'm trying to do. Whereas, there's nothing wrong with this, what we're doing here. It's got its place.
Yeah. When you're driving to Palabova, just put my podcast on and listen.
Definitely. No, I've actually I've got YouTube Premium, which is the best thing ever.
Yeah, I can't survive without it.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do.
Yeah. And then I download it.
Yeah.
And on the plane, I'll watch it.
Okay, cool.
And then when you like obviously walking through the terminals, headphones plugged in.
So I learned a lot from speaking to you, man. What I've learned, especially or reinforced and learned, is that you don't necessarily have to have a plan.
No, you don't.
Like you got to pursue, and Dr. Yak said it in the first interview, I think, or he says it on his thing.
Yeah.
Find things that you enjoy and just do it without even thinking.
Exactly. I mean, it can be anything, like gardening too.
Yeah. It might not work out, right?
Yeah.
It might, but
I mean, I tried my hand at gardening last year.
Yeah.
I like to cook, so I wanted like a herb garden.
Yeah.
Went and bought all the seeds, thought I did everything right. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like it just died. So,
but you still did it. I mean,
I still did it. I mean, if it did grow, it would have inspired me to do more. But at the same time, now, I'm not saying I'm giving up on it. I want to try again, but maybe do things properly or differently.
Yeah, I've learned that. And just say yes to things.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from things. Get out of your comfort zone a bit.
Yeah.
You never know where things might take you, right?
The thing is, like, I don't want to say the word FOMO because that's not it.
Yeah. Fear of missing out. Eh?
Yeah. Because there's not a fear of missing out. It's when you decline, and if I had to decline the invite and I know I could have attended and I see what was going on, it's like I could have been a part of that.
Yeah.
I could have learned something from that as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much about having FOMO, such as missing out on the fun and stuff like that, but it's just you get to go there. It's not always what you think it is. There's always something that you'll take home from it.
Yes. You might
apart
bump
from
into
the free gifts.
Yeah. You might bump into some random person and make some connection that has nothing to do with the event.
Exactly. I mean, for example, I bumped into one of these travel vloggers at one of the events, and he was telling me like how he does things, and he's actually based in the UK.
Yeah.
And again, you learn from him. You don't necessarily have to do what he's doing, but it's something nice to learn about.
You learn from any interaction no matter what. Thank you so much, dude. This was really interesting for me.
No, thanks for having me. As I said, I'm not a doctor, but anyway, I hope I contributed some way.
My first layperson, non-clinician, first Guji, first...
hey, a lot of firsts.
Lots of firsts,
I'm honored then.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
I hope the viewers, I know they will enjoy this one. Sure.
Well, if you don't, just send complaints to you.
Yeah. Put a comment. Don't comment. Give me all the comments. Cheers, Amith. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Yash.